For years, the Okafor family had been scattered across the globe. Each person was busy chasing careers, building businesses, or raising families in different corners of the world. Phone calls became fewer, visits became rare, and slowly the bond that once held them together began to fade. Then one day, their aging matriarch, Mama Grace, sent out a simple but powerful invitation. In her shaky handwriting, she wrote, "Come home. Let us eat, laugh, and remember who we are." Some hesitated. Old arguments and unspoken grudges lingered. Others felt too busy to pause their lives. But deep inside, they all knew Mama Grace's call could not be ignored. So one by one, they returned. From bustling Lagos, busy London, cold Toronto, and faraway Johannesburg, children, cousins, uncles, and aunties made their way to the family's ancestral home in the quiet countryside. The first day was filled with laughter and tears. They hugged tightly, shared meals at long tables, and told stories that made them feel like children again. The house, once silent, was now alive with the warmth of togetherness. On the second day, they strolled through the wide farmlands and narrow village paths. Conversations began to flow. Dreams, fears, and long-kept secrets were shared. For the first time in years, walls of pride and silence started to crumble. That evening, they lit a bonfire under the stars. Voices rose in song. Hands clapped to old rhythms, and memories of their parents and grandparents filled the night air. For many, it felt like their roots had been restored. By the third day, something extraordinary happened. The family gathered to make a pact. They promised never to let distance or misunderstandings break their bond again. Plans were made for regular calls, visits, and even a family fund to support one another. When it was finally time to leave, nobody felt the same. What began as a reluctant reunion had become a rebirth of love and unity. Each person returned to their life carrying a renewed sense of family. A reminder that no matter how far they wandered, they would always belong to one another. And from that moment on, the Okafor family wasn't just connected by blood, they were united by choice.
Weeks after the reunion carried a strange sweetness. Mama Grace's words, laughter, and prayers echoed in everyone's heart. For the first time in years, group chats buzzed with joy instead of silence. Pictures from the gathering flew across phones, and voices on video calls carried more warmth than before. But as life settled back into routine, challenges began to test the promise they had made. In Lagos, Chinedu, the elder son, struggled with a failing business. He had been too proud to admit his troubles before, but remembering the pact, he finally opened up to his siblings. To his surprise, help came quickly. One cousin offered financial advice, another linked him to a business partner abroad, and slowly, hope returned to his eyes. In London, Ifeoma wrestled with her crumbling marriage. The reunion had reminded her of her worth and her family's support, so she picked up the phone one night and called Mama Grace. The old woman prayed with her, listened with patience, and reminded her, "Storms don't last forever, my child. Even in the rain, you must stand tall." Meanwhile, in Toronto, little Ada, barely 10 years old, began writing letters to Mama Grace every month. In her innocent handwriting, she would share her school stories, her fears, and her dreams. Mama Grace kept every letter in a wooden box beside her bed, whispering blessings over each one. Months later, the family fund they had created began to bear fruits. A scholarship was awarded to a younger cousin in the village who had always dreamt of becoming a doctor. That single act of love rippled through the community, reminding everyone that the Okafor family's strength was not just in its wealth, but in its unity. Yet, not all was smooth. Old grudges tried to creep back in. During one heated video call, two brothers clashed over inheritance matters. Voices rose, tempers flared, but this time, instead of walking away, they remembered Mama Grace's call. After hours of talking, and with Mama Grace's gentle but firm intervention, they agreed to settle their differences with peace, not pride. The turning point came 1 year after the first reunion. Mama Grace's health had weakened, and she could no longer walk as she once did. The family knew it was time for another gathering, not out of obligation, but out of love. So once again, they returned. From Lagos, London, Toronto, Johannesburg, they came back just as before. But this time, it was not only about remembering the past, it was about securing the future. Under the mango tree where generations had once played, the family planted a new tree, a symbol of growth, renewal, and lasting unity. They named it the Okafor Tree of Life. Each person laid a hand on its soil, whispering prayers for generations yet unborn. That evening, as the fire crackled and the stars watched silently, Mama Grace smiled. Her eyes, though tired, shone with peace. She had lived to see her children and grandchildren not just as a scattered people, but as a united family. And when her time finally came, months later, the Okafor family did not mourn with despair. They celebrated her life with the same songs, stories, and laughter that had once filled the air. Her legacy was not just her years on earth, it was the love and unity she had restored. From then on, the Okafor family made it a tradition. Every 2 years, no matter where they were in the world, they would return home. Home was no longer just a place. Home was their bond, their faith, their promise. And so the story of the Okafor family became more than history. It became a living testimony, a reminder to all who heard it that no matter how far apart life takes us, the true measure of wealth is not what we build alone, but the love we keep alive together.